What if you could know, really know who your best customers are? Not by some gut feeling, but by using a super simple yet powerful framework that just listens to what they do. Well, today we're diving into exactly that. We're breaking down RFM analysis, a tool that can totally transform your marketing. This is the question, right? Every business, every marketer, every e-commerce manager wants to know. Who are the people that are really driving our success? Where should we actually focus our time, our energy, and our budget? Getting this right is absolutely critical. And the answer? Well, it's usually hiding in the data you already have. That's the secret right there. It's not just about who your customers are, their demographics. It's about what they do. RFM analysis is all about digging into their actions, specifically their purchase history, to unlock some pretty incredible insights. It's basically a way to let their spending habits tell you a story. So here's the game plan for the next few minutes. We're going to tackle the customer puzzle. I'll introduce you to the RFM framework. We'll see how the scoring actually works. And this is the most important part, how to turn those scores into a real-world strategy. Then we'll wrap it all up by looking at the big picture.
Okay, so why do we even need a special framework for this? Because treating all your customers the same is, frankly, one of the biggest mistakes you can make in marketing. It's inefficient, it's super expensive, and honestly, it just doesn't work very well.
And this brings us to a classic idea you've probably heard of, the Pareto principle, or the 80-20 rule. The concept is that, most of the time, about 80% of your results come from just 20% of your efforts. For a business, this almost always means that a small, dedicated group of customers is responsible for the lion's share of your revenue. They're your VIPs, even if you don't know who they are, yet. And that's the real challenge, isn't it? How do you reliably find that all-important 20%? How do you separate your most valuable, loyal customers from the folks who just browse once in a while? That, my friends, is exactly the problem that RFM analysis was built to solve. So let's meet our solution. Think of RFM analysis as your personal compass for navigating your customer base. It's a simple, and really elegant technique that helps you group customers based on what they actually do, so you can point your marketing efforts in exactly the right direction. So what is it exactly? Well, RFM is just an acronym. It stands for Recency, Frequency, and Monetary Value. It's a method for scoring and grouping customers by asking 3 really simple questions about their transaction history. First up, we've got R for recency. This one is so important because a customer who bought from you just last week is way more likely to be engaged with your brand than someone who hasn't stopped by in a year. Your brand is still fresh in their mind. Next, we have F for frequency. Basically, how often do they come back for more? This little metric is a fantastic signal of customer loyalty and satisfaction. Someone who buys from you over and over again? Yeah, they're a fan. And finally, M for monetary value. This is the big one. How much cash have they actually spent with you over their lifetime? This helps you separate the big spenders from the bargain hunters and really understand their total value to your business. Okay, so we have these 3 awesome ingredients: recency, frequency, and monetary. But how do we actually cook with them? Well, the real power of RFM kicks in when we turn this raw data into a simple scoring system that lets us create really useful customer groups. The process itself is surprisingly straightforward. First, you pull the data for each customer. Second, you score each person on a scale, usually 1 to 5, for recency, frequency, and monetary value. So a 5-5-5 score would be your absolute best customer. Third, you combine those scores to create segments. And finally, you group those segments together to build your action plan. And here's where it gets really fun. You start to see these intuitive groups pop up. A customer with the top score, like a 5-5-5, we'd call them a champion. They buy recently, they buy often, and they spend a ton. But on the flip side, someone with a 1-1-2 score, we might call them hibernating. See how clear that is? It's night and day. And this, right here, is the whole point. This is the payoff. Once you have these segments, you can finally stop shouting the same generic message to everyone and start having real, meaningful, targeted conversations that actually resonate. Just look at this comparison. For your champions, you roll out the red carpet. You give them VIP perks, early access to new products. Maybe you even ask them for referrals. But for your hibernating customers, that approach would totally fall flat. For them, you need a "We Miss You" campaign, or a special discount to entice them back, or maybe even a survey to figure out why they left.
Two totally different groups, two totally different strategies. Ultimately, this whole process helps you nail 4 huge business goals. You can acquire more of the right kind of customers by targeting people who look like your champions. You can reward the amazing ones you already have. You can monetize and grow the promising ones. And, so importantly, you can retain those at-risk customers before they're gone for good. Now, RFM is an incredibly useful tool, for sure. But like any model, it's not a magic wand. To use it right, you've got to understand both its superpowers and its limitations. The benefits are pretty obvious and pretty awesome. You get much better personalization. Your marketing ROI goes up because you're not wasting money on the wrong people. You can actually watch the health of your customer base shift over time. And you can spot customers who are about to turn and do something about it. But let's be real about the limitations. RFM is based only on transaction data, so it completely ignores demographics. It's also a snapshot based on what happened in the past, and it can't tell you why someone bought something. For that richer picture, you'll probably want to layer in other data sources. But here's the bottom line. For any business, whether you're huge or just starting out, RFM is a ridiculously powerful and accessible way to start making smart decisions. It lets you finally move away from guesswork and start using real data to drive real impact. So there you have it. That's the power of RFM analysis. It gives you a clear, actionable map of your entire customer base. It shows you who to celebrate, who to try and win back, and who has the potential to become your next champion. So now you've got the framework. The only question left is, who are you going to talk to first?